Imagine a drink that is tart, citrusy, and as incredibly refreshing as lemonade. This drink comes from a plant that is a nutritional goldmine, packed with vitamin C and brimming with powerful antioxidants. In this video, you'll learn step by step why it isn't poisonous, as some people claim, and how you can harvest and prepare this plant to make this delicious drink. Don't skip any part of the video, or you'll miss out on important information. It is a gourmet superfood that grows for free in over 30 states. 400 years ago, wealthy European aristocrats were so obsessed with this plant that they paid a fortune just to have it in their private gardens. And yet, every autumn, homeowners across North America walk out into their backyards with chainsaws and commit the same mistake. They see the tall, vibrant shrubs with their deep red cone-shaped clusters, and they cut them to the ground. They do it because a neighbor whispered a warning, or they read a half-truth on the internet. They think they are protecting their families from a toxic invader. They see the name sumac and treat it like a death sentence. But they are destroying one of the most useful wild plants on the continent. You need to understand the mystery of the Staghorn Sumac if you want to stop paying a premium for imported spices and start harvesting a gourmet treasure from your own fence line. You have to look past the fear. But there is a catch. If you get the identification wrong, you aren't just losing a snack. You could be facing a blistering rash that makes poison ivy look like a mild annoyance. There is also one single weather event that can turn your gourmet harvest into a bitter, flavorless disaster before you even touch it. I'll also show you a simple 10-second test to help you identify the right plant. Stay tuned. Before we go any further, I want to hear from you. Have you ever seen these red torches in your neighborhood and been told they were poisonous? Let me know in the comments what you've heard about this plant. It helps me understand what myths we still need to bust. I remember walking through the edges of my grandfather's old pastures during the late August heat. The air was thick and still, and the ground was dry and cracked. He would gesture toward those fuzzy, red cones pointing toward the sky and tell me that nature had already prepared the lemonade. We just had to go pick it. Back then, I didn't understand the chemistry, but I remember how the velvet-like fuzz on the branches felt exactly like a deer's antlers in spring. He knew something that most people have forgotten, that this weed was actually a gift. The story of the Staghorn Sumac is a case of mistaken identity 4 centuries in the making. The word sumac has become synonymous with poison in the American psyche. But that fear is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of biology. Yes, poison sumac is real, and yes, it is dangerous. But Staghorn sumac and poison sumac are not the same. They aren't even close. They share a name, and they share a distant branch on the botanical family tree alongside cashews, mangoes, and pistachios. But that is where the similarities end. Somewhere along the line, we decided to throw out the cashew because it had a difficult cousin. We let a name dictate our fear. To truly appreciate why you should be looking for this plant, we have to look at the mechanisms inside the berries. The tartness you taste comes from a high concentration of malic acid and ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is commonly known as vitamin C. In the era before global shipping and grocery stores, sailors and frontier families relied on these sour fruits to ward off the horrors of scurvy. Because the dried cones retain their vitamin C for months, they served as nutritional insurance against the long, lean months of winter. Indigenous people, including the Cherokee, Ojibwe, and Iroquois, understood this perfectly. They used it as a cooling drink to soothe fevers and as a medicinal wash for sore throats. But how do you make sure you are picking the superfood and not the poison? This is the 10-second test I mentioned earlier. Once you see the difference, you can never unsee it. First, look at the berries. Staghorn Sumac holds its berries in tight, upright, crimson cones that point toward the sky like flaming torches. They are bold, red, and impossible to miss. Poison Sumac does the exact opposite. Its berries are never red. They are white or pale, sickly gray-green. Furthermore, those white berries never stand up. They hang down in loose, drooping clusters. Next, look at the branches. The young branches of the Staghorn Sumac are covered in a soft, velvet-like fuzz, and that is exactly how the plant got its name. Poison Sumac stems are perfectly smooth, with none of that fuzz. Finally, look at the ground. Staghorn Sumac loves the light. You will find it on dry, sunny roadsides and in well-drained pastures. Poison Sumac is a specialist. It insists on having its feet wet. It grows almost exclusively in swamps, bogs, and standing water. The rule is simple. Red cones, standing up on dry ground, are safe and delicious. White berries drooping down in a swamp should be left alone. While we were busy forgetting this knowledge, the rest of the world was valuing it. By 1629, English herbalists were cataloging American Staghorn Sumac as a prized ornamental for the estates of the wealthy. In the 1750s, Carl Linnaeus, the father of modern botany, gave it the formal name Rustifina. The plant your neighbor wants to bulldoze was once a high-status symbol in the finest gardens of London. But the value of sumac extends far beyond history. It belongs in your kitchen. If you have ever enjoyed Middle Eastern cuisine, specifically the spice blend known as za'atar, you have already tasted sumac. That earthy, bright, lemony note on roasted vegetables and grilled meats comes from dried, ground sumac berries. People drive to specialty grocery stores and pay a premium for small, imported jars of sumac powder, while the exact same flavor and antioxidant benefits remain ignored on a shrub in their own backyard. Now, let's talk about the harvest, because this is where most people fail. You want to harvest the deep red cones in late summer or early fall. But here is the golden rule. You must pick them on a dry day. This is the environmental factor I mentioned earlier. A heavy rain can actually wash away the tart, acidic coating on the surface of the berries. That coating is where all the flavor and vitamin C are stored. If you harvest right after a storm, you are just picking flavorless red fluff. Once you have your dry cones, making the Indian lemonade is incredibly simple. But you have to avoid one critical mistake. Snap the cones off, break them apart, and place them into a jar of cool or room temperature water. Let them soak for about 10 to 20 minutes until the water turns a beautiful deep pink. Wait, here is the mistake that ruins the batch. Never use boiling water. If you treat sumac like a standard tea, you will draw out the bitter tannins from the plant's structure. This turns your bright, refreshing drink into something harsh and mouth-puckering. Cold steeping is the secret to keeping the flavor clean and vibrant. After soaking, strain the liquid through a coffee filter or a clean cloth to catch the fine little hairs from the berries. Sweeten it, and you have a refreshing, vitamin-rich drink for zero cost. If you want to make your own spice, simply dry the cones thoroughly and grind them up. You've just created a supply of one of the world's most versatile seasonings. Just remember to be a good steward. Take only what you need and leave plenty behind for the birds, who rely on these cones as a critical food source throughout the winter. This isn't just about a free drink or a cheap spice. It's about reclaiming a sense of control and independence. When you understand the mechanisms of the nature around you, you stop being a consumer dependent on imported jars and start being a participant in your own landscape.